Name is Olga Dimitrov, and I'm serving with UNHCR's Division of Human Resources, more specifically the Global Learning and Development Center. And I'm accompanied by many colleagues who represent different divisions and entities within UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, as well as our field operations, our offices in many different locations globally, and you will learn more about that in a moment. But I think you're seeing many of them on camera, and so it's really our pleasure to be with you right now. I would like to start by saying that, of course, all of you know that UNHCR, being the UN Refugee Agency, has the mission and mandate to provide protection and solutions to forcibly displaced individuals and stateless persons globally. And this is, of course, an important prism to have in mind as we are trying today to tell you the story of how we crafted a capacity building initiative, the first of its kind, a pilot initiative that is under our first digital transformation strategy. This capacity building initiative is fully immersed in the spirit, of course, of UNHCR's mandate. So we always have people we serve in mind when we draft our initiatives and when we empower our colleagues who serve the forcibly displaced and stateless people all over the world to start their digital journeys. And this is why today we will be presenting this initiative to you, always having this in the back of our minds. I would like to just mention the few points on today's agenda. So what's coming next? After this very brief introduction, we would like to share with you the video that started the journey of our capacity building initiative. So the video that we created at the very beginning when we were looking for those 70 change makers from all over UNHCR, the brave ones who are interested to join this pilot initiative. Once we've seen this video, the head of the digital service, Mike Walton, will talk to us about UNHCR's digital transformation strategy to show us the broader picture under which the Digital Changemakers Lab was born. After that, I will have also the pleasure of welcoming Mariam Kakar, the head of DHR's Global Learning and Development Center, so that she can briefly tell you the story of the key objectives of our program and also the journey that the brave change makers went on and are still on, because this is work in progress, of course. And immediately after that, we will conduct together with you today 4 project interviews. So we will be introducing 4 of the 14 projects under our program in an interview format, giving our brave changemakers the opportunity to reply to certain key questions with regard to their projects. And we're hoping that these key questions will bring the motivation, the passion, and the concrete goals and objectives of these projects closer to you today. At the end of the session, we will have a Q&A opportunity so that you can put your questions to the change makers. And of course, you will be able to drop any questions in the chat at all times. We would like to apologize for having disabled your webcams and your mics. This is just because we want to make sure that you have the most seamless experience during today's session. And at the end, we will give you the chance to turn these on and to put your questions for the change makers. And in the end, we will also wrap up with a few words by Mike and Mariam. This was the introduction for our next 55 or so minutes. And now I would like to take you on this journey, the way it also started for us with launching our promotional video in order to find the digital change makers among the almost 20,000 at this point UNHCR staff members. This is a wonderful walk down memory lane for us, the learning program team as well, because this shows us how much this program has evolved ever since we launched this promotional video, and how we have also tried to adopt this agile approach that is also part of the quintet of change. Of course, how we've tried not just to build the capacity of our 14 teams to be agile, but to also be agile as a learning program team. I hope we have succeeded, but now it's my pleasure to pass the floor to the head of the digital service, Mike Walton, for his introduction of the UNHCR digital transformation strategy and anything else he wishes to share with you now.
Thanks so much, and good afternoon, everyone. Just to say that this program has been so inspiring since it's been running, and everybody you see on screen has just been so amazing. And we always put people at the heart of the digital strategy. Technology is a kind of the second thing that obviously enables it, but this is about what we do with technology, not the technology itself. And the faces that you can see on the screen have just been really incredible to work with, and to see their original submissions. Fantastic. So just very briefly on the digital transformation strategy. As I say, this is about enabling the communities that we work with to have access to the digital world. So one of the primary first pillars is about inclusion to make sure we have connectivity, to learn, to train, to find work, and to have financial inclusion. So really being part of the digital world, and to be able to do all of the things that we all quite often take for granted in there. We understand that with digital inclusion comes the threat that happens online. We might see that in hate speech and misinformation. We might see that with the risk of trafficking, and all sorts of unethical use of technology that may impact on people's well-being. So really focusing again on what can we make sure the protection is there, and perhaps more operationally looking at digital services and how we can provide solid services through digital channels, mobile, internet, to make sure that we can give people the services they need at the time they need them. I won't focus so much on the other two goals, which are much more internal, but just to say how we communicate digitally is really critical for us. And so we're doing a focus area on that, but also how we collaborate and how we work digitally and how we use technology in field situations. You'll see capacity building is one of those foundation stones at the bottom. I mean, this should really just say people, 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 because people is what makes this happen. And that's why I'm so glad to work with Marianne on devising this program, and thanks to her team for doing all the hard work and everything around that. So over to you, Marianne.
Thank you, Mike. And so good to see so many people online. I see some former colleagues of mine from other UN organizations. So hello, everybody, and welcome to our session. What I wanted to highlight was the people part. The part of my job that I love and why I am in HR is that I get to engage with colleagues. And for us, the people part was really about three areas. How do we develop our colleagues? both in terms of mindset and skills and knowledge. But how do we also encourage and empower them and give them the tools and resources to be able to actually implement and think about digital solutions in their operations? And also to look at how we start building capacity, maybe in more innovative ways than what I would say. I don't like using the word normal, but how do we build capacity that's effective, fast, innovative, and maybe gets us the results faster than maybe some traditional approaches? Can we go to the next slide, please? So this journey that we created here in UNHCR, and it was really done, and you'll meet many of my team here in the Global Learning and Development Center. They've been leading on this. They have been conceptualizing the design of this program. So kudos to them for creating something that I think in the UN system, or even compared to private sector is doing, it's something unique, it's something different. And I'll share a high-level overview of what it is. It's a long journey. So it's a program that doesn't say, come in, we're going to teach you a few key things on digital, and we will say goodbye to you, and we will expect you to implement this back in your operations. So it's a journey that looks at a few key steps. And for my colleagues in HR, you know this word is a buzzword these days, is agile teams. So how do you bring teams together to look at business challenges so that you're utilizing expertise from diverse perspectives, from different operations? How do you bring them together to look at common challenges UNHCR faces? Now, this sounds easy, but all of you know that we're very used to working in hierarchical type organizations where we have a team, we have reporting lines, and once in a while we work on task force. But to create a true agile team, and some of my colleagues are smiling, it is not easy. You're bringing people who've never worked together, who don't know much about each other, and you're asking them to come together in a learning program, trust each other, and work towards a solution. I won't go into the details of every aspect of it, but there's two that's very important. And one of them I wanted to highlight, which was phase 3. We keep hearing, and I'm sure for colleagues in other UN organizations, you keep hearing colleagues say there's a resistance sometimes to change. And you've heard that in some of the sessions the last few days in UN 2.0. I have a great idea. I want us to move in a certain direction, but the organizational culture or my manager doesn't want and doesn't want to take the risk. So for us, if we're creating UNHCR's digital change makers, it's important in HR that we also give them the tools on how to manage resistance, because for them to be effective change makers, they will face resistance. And how do they influence, and how do they have the dialogues? How do they present data to be able to navigate change and do that effectively? So that's one key thing I wanted to point out. The last part is the networking piece. In an organization like ours with almost close to 18,000 plus employees in every office in the world, how do you build networks that are just not in your duty station, but actually real networks that look at some of these issues of digital together? And I think that's one of the key. I think that's one of the beauties of this program is we bring colleagues from all over the world together, not only to learn, network, but work in teams to solve problems. So Olga, I just wanted to say thank you to you and Rafa and Timia and everybody on the call for creating something that I think has made a huge impact on our organization. And I hope we can share some of our lessons learned with other UN colleagues. So over to you, Olga. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike and Mariam, for your introductions and some of the lessons learned that you're already sharing, and for your kind words. It's a pleasure to be part of this program's team, but what really makes me extremely happy today is the opportunity to introduce to you the real stars of this capacity building and learning journey, and these are our change makers. So today we have 4 out of our 14 teams represented. And we have some questions for them. Hopefully, these questions will allow you to share some parts of their journey. I would like to start by introducing the team that comes from our operation in Mozambique. And it's a team that has dedicated their attention to feedback response and referral mechanisms for our operation in Mozambique, where these are extremely needed. So my first question for today is to Nkando, who represents this team with us today. She will be talking to us about the feedback response and referral mechanism that they're working on. I would like to ask her in particular what specific communication challenges, because obviously feedback response and referral mechanisms are about streamlined communication. So what specific communication challenges were identified in Mozambique between UNHCR there in the country and the communities that we serve in that operation in particular? The floor is yours, Nkando.
Thank you, Olga. Good day to everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. As Olga has mentioned, I am representing the Mozambique operation. And one of the three challenges that we identified is specifically the lack of an internal feedback response and referral mechanism. What we mean in this context is a mediated feedback and referral system that refugees, asylum seekers, and internally displaced people, or those who just want to contact UNHCR for whatever need, for example, to communicate an issue or make an inquiry or a complaint, suggestion, or to seek information and guidance, can use as a well-established, safe, and secure communication channel that is also cost-effective to do so. Presently, we do not have this sort of system, and we are using systems that are not easy to integrate into other platforms. The second challenge was a lack of a mass communication tool or a broadcasting service. For example, if we have some sort of communication we need to make to a large number of refugees, an internship opportunity, a scholarship opportunity they might want to apply for, we are not able to do this at a large scale, and it is done manually sending individual messages, which is quite time consuming. And it could happen that, we are not able to communicate with all of the people who we would have intended to communicate with. So doing this in an automated way ensures that we communicate as widely as possible without human error in the process. And the last challenge is the lack of, I would call it like a one-stop center for information exchange, a help desk, so to speak, for refugees and IDPs, internally displaced people. And the information exchange facility would serve, so to speak, as a help desk to enable the operation to provide feedback to refugees and IDPs specifically. Yes, so those are our three main challenges.
Thank you very much, Nkando. I think this sheds a very important light on how your solutions then came about. So this is why now I would like to ask you how you anticipate the implementation of the toll-free number and the SMS broadcasting service would improve engagement and feedback mechanisms in the operation in Mozambique.
Well, first of all, community engagement, we believe, will be strengthened, which is a critical gap that we have identified in our system, where we don't have very effective complaints and feedback mechanisms. We would also be then able to enhance access to complaint and feedback mechanisms. We hope to develop and implement a web-based case management system, which can be used to register, to store, assign, track, analyze cases, and also report feedback and response performance in a more systematic manner. This we also want to link to an SMS broadcasting service where we could not only communicate in relation to opportunities, but also early warning systems. in our context, we have various issues that lead to reasons why we need to focus on early warning systems or preparedness actions, for example, extreme weather events. So this sort of communication platform would really enable us also to share protection-sensitive messaging on early warning in certain contexts. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you very much for this comprehensive sharing. And I would like to let everyone know that they can remain in touch with Nkandu. We will be sharing her contact details, and you can reach out to her team in case you have similar experiences, in case you are working in Mozambique, in case you would like to offer yourself to support the implementation of this project, or just for any other networking purposes. Please do not hesitate to reach out to her as well as our other change makers, but we will be sharing their contact details in the chat. Thank you very much, Nkandu. This is also an excellent opportunity for us to move forward in order to introduce the next team that will be presented today. That is a team composed of colleagues from many different operations. So we have Ecuador, we have Mexico, we have Peru, we have Iran. Maybe I'm missing out even on some of the operations that are on that team. They are foreseeing Ecuador to be the pilot location for their solution, and their solution is called the Global Safe Space. This is why I would like to now ask them a couple of questions about this global safe space. My first question is to Fateme. Fateme is a member of this team, and so Fateme, today I would like to ask you, what motivated this global team to initiate the UNHCR also Global Safe Space project? So what was the initial motivation?
Okay, thank you, Olga, for the opportunity you provide for the ANTS Global Safe Space project to share the ideas and the things that we have others. That's so we appreciate it. First of all, about the motivations that just brought us together, let's say that we had several motivations that help us to gather each other. But let's say the first and the most important thing was the mandate, was the collective mandate that we all have in UNHCR in protecting refugees. And we have to say that protection is a very various idea and concept. And let's say that online protection is a newly trend that UNHCR should consider. So let's say that online protection was the most important thing that gathered us to get with each other. And after that, this UNHCR-led initiative, the Digital Changemakers Lab, was a very useful opportunity that brought us with very different backgrounds and ideas, as you said, from very different countries and with very different sectors. I mean, different field sports. And we are working on the main issues that refugees have in online protection. And finally, we could mold all the ideas that we had with each other, and we could make a collective effort in work in the Global Safest Space Initiative. And let's say that we wish to live in a world that refugees and and forcibly displaced people have a proper tools to protect themselves for the risk in the online risk that they face. Thank you. Over.
Thank you very much, Fateme. I think your motivation, the way you described this, it has helped our participants understand the importance of protecting the people we serve from those online and digital risks. And now I would like to ask a question. Once again, your team, but this time Tanya, whom I am seeing right now, she's here. Tanya, my question for you would be how you envision that this global safe space will impact the lives of the people UNHCR serves. How exactly are they going to be impacted by your initiative?
Thank you for your question, Olga, and good morning. Well, good morning, good evening, and good night to everyone. To answer this, we would like to begin setting a scenario to explain the challenges that refugees worldwide face and how this project that we are thinking and we are working on may help us. So just let's think on Alejandra. Alejandra is a fictional person that will help us navigate what we are working with. So Alejandra, as many people, many refugees online have a cell phone, and one day she gets a message from an unknown number saying that it's a person who works with UNHCR. So this person asks for her information, documentation, and a small fee so she can access to the assistant that she needs. And so it's fair to say that Alejandra is facing a dilemma that maybe a lot of people are facing worldwide. So Alejandra is thinking that even she trust or not trust this message that she received. And more common than not, people trust this message and end up giving information, documentation, and also paying this fee. So this is very problematic because of two main reasons. One, because we do not have control of where this information goes and who see it. And for people who are fleeing persecution, this is really, really dangerous. Also, we believe that this is a problem that affects how people see UNHCR and other organizations, and we believe that this hurts the trust that people have on us. So this is like the main problem that a lot of people are facing. And this is the challenge that we have because there are not available tools so people can verify that the information that they are receiving is true, it's correct. And they don't have a way to have a quick feedback from us that this is not correct or this is correct. So this is really a challenge, a big challenge that we are facing. So with a digital online space, we would like to give them people this tool so they can empower themselves and they can ask and they can have the information that they need in a quickly verified and effective way so they do not are prey of fraud. Yes. Yeah, and also we would like to have this safe space so we can have like by two ways channel, and we can have like a small safe and online space where people can talk to each other so they can have have the tools so they can empower themselves to verify information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanya. This was great. I hope that this will really increase the people we serve's trust in us, and will give them a quick way to verify information and to feel safer and more protected in online and digital interactions. Now we move on to introduce the team that is working on the Digital Bridge platform. They did not apply for this program as a team, but they very quickly became one, an agile team. I would like to ask them a couple of questions as well. Some of them are in headquarters, some of them are in Turkey, in Serbia, in Lebanon, in Portugal, etc. They have chosen Serbia and Turkey for their pilot locations. And this will also explain my questions for them today. My first question will be for Dragan, who represents the team working on the Digital Bridge platform. And that is, I would like to know how this platform will facilitate access to essential information and services for the forcibly displaced persons in these pilot locations that you have chosen.
Thank you, Olga, for your question. In general, forcibly displaced people face significant challenges in accessing essential life-saving information and also connecting with the support services that already exist and also building their capacity to thrive in new communities. Existing solutions often lack a comprehensive approach and we can see that a lot of available web pages and platforms are segregated, and even though refugees get access to those platforms and web pages, all of those are not centralized in one hub. Our platform, the Digital Bridge platform, offers easy access to essential information, and those include asylum procedures, available legal aid. Right now, you can see the legal aid platform where people can interactively access all information. Also, those include digital resources that could be online trainings, language learning platforms, also job opportunities, and as well as available community initiatives they can contribute to. Our platform seeks to build upon the existing UNHCR help webpage for refugees and asylum seekers. Right now, we are working on pilot locations, Serbia and Turkey, and hopefully one day it could be available for all regions. It's very interactive, has a lot of images, learning videos, mapped resources and services, and it's overall very comprehensive and centralized in one digital bridge hub. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dragan. It's starting to take shape now. I can understand where this team is going, but I also know that the members of this team possess excellent skill sets when it comes to digital accessibility. So my next question is for Hassan, and the question is, what its accessibility and usability features are there for diverse user groups so that it's accessible and usable for the widest and most diverse possible audience. It's you, Hassan.
Thank you so much, Olga, and thanks also for Dragan for introducing our idea and the project that we are working for. Hello, everyone. So, in order to answer your question, I would just say that literally starting from the initial pitch up to brainstorming, information collection, implementation, and testing, we made sure as a team to uphold UNHCR's core principles, policies, and guidelines regarding the age, gender, diversity, mainstreaming, disability inclusion, and the use of digital tools and spaces to support staff and displaced persons into the project. So several strategies were implemented to ensure the platform's accessibility and usability for diverse user groups. I can say that firstly, we ensure making available on the platform of training suitable for all age groups, covering a wide range of topics such as human rights, gender-based violence, language learning, primary education, technology, computer literacy, soft skills development, and much more. We have also introduced walkthrough videos embedded in a way that doesn't consume much internet, providing step-by-step instructions on how to navigate specific parts of the platform. I would say also that we have prioritized designing with inclusivity in mind from the outset, creating interfaces usable by a broader range of users. This involved considering factors such as color contrast, text size, alternative navigation methods, and much more. Just to be very specific, one amazing feature that we have introduced is the new accessibility feature for the visually impaired, which incorporates embedding an audio navigation menu to ensure that all users have access to the available information on the platform. And finally, I would end it with one amazing feature as well, which is the implementation of interactive images that is showing right now in front of you on the screen. These aimed at simplifying the presented information, enabling refugees with varying technological proficiency and different levels to quickly find the right information about complicated procedures and services in a more simplified manner. These was targeted precisely for the complicated procedures of the asylum process and the legal aid that is present in Serbia and Turkey, where we are piloting our project. So instead of having the refugees spend a lot of time reading a lot of information, we have just simplified the thing in an interactive way. They can just decide on which step they are currently, and from that, the image will take them onward into what is the next step that they are going. Trust us, we are having a great progress, and we will astonish you with what we will have. Thanks, Olga.
Thank you very much, Hassan and Dragan. And we're looking forward to seeing the end result or the rollout of this pilot, because of course all of this is work in progress. This is a good moment for me to say that the program team is extremely proud of the advancement and progress of all the 14 teams on the program. So we try to express that at every opportunity. Now, I would like to move on to, of course, last but not least, as is traditional to say, to the shelter allocation and camp management tool. And of course, as per usual, I have a couple of questions for the people who are representing this team today here. I will start with Vasily, who represents this particular team that strives for camp management optimization and transformation. And my concrete question to him will be about what were these key challenges faced by camp management staff that prompted the development of the tool that you are currently working on? So talk to us about these key challenges faced by camp managers, Vasily.
Hello, thank you, Olga, for this question. So whether designed and built abruptly during an emergency or following extensive thought and use of ample resources during stable and predictable refugee situations, camps are living organisms. Their operation depends on controllable parameters, like, for example, resources, staffing, space, and their infrastructure, but is also affected by exogenous factors like influx rate and demographics of the population and the effect of natural phenomena. Camp management staff are often faced with challenges linked to limited or deteriorating infrastructure and insufficient resources and space. They lack the tools to visualize risks associated with shelter allocation or shelter under occupancy. They are often faced with situation of shelter under occupancy, but also overcrowding or other deviations from humanitarian standards. On top of that, they need to prevent or address security concerns, while the identification and mitigation of disaster risks is increasingly becoming a major consideration nowadays. So in an age of shrinking humanitarian funding, what digital transformation can offer at minimum is optimization of workloads. The reduction of effort for routine tasks allows humanitarian workers to focus more on assistance and protection delivery. But it is not just about efficiency that comes with the introduction of a digital solution. Once a scalable platform with AI integration options is available, then further innovation kicks in, and then imagination is fueling the business transformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vasily. I would also like to give the floor to Oscar, who is the other colleague representing this team today. Is there anything you wish to add, Oscar?
No, thank you, Olga. And I think it's, yeah, congratulations to all the groups, because many of this are solutions field driven. So this is something that at UNHCR we're very committed to. So the solutions to refugees' problems are driven by the field. So the staff that are working day to day. So for our project, the camp management, it's a concern that all the camp managers have, not only in the places we represent, but we already have consulted other operations, and they seem very, very interested in this tool. So as with everything in UNHCR, I think the first protocol, our first concern is always that the refugees have access to the services and access to protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oscar. I have a second question, though, just to make everything just and equal for all the teams represented today. And that's a more specific question. It has to do with me wanting to know a little bit more about how the integration of geographical information systems technology will enhance the effectiveness of shelter allocation and potentially disaster risk assessment. So, Vasily, the floor is yours to tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, thank you. So this project is a web application designed to facilitate and improve camp management workflows. It addresses routine operations planning, facilities management, disaster risk management, and individual case management. Camp management processes are digitized by way of a GIS-enabled tool that visualizes data such as population demographics, shelter occupancy, field observations, with those observations deriving not only from staff inputs and residents' feedback, but also from real-time environmental and other feeds from Internet of Things, IoT, and LoRa sensors that can be deployed in a camp setting. Camp management staff will be supported to deliver protection-sensitive shelter allocation, while on the same time, maintenance staff can do early identification of infrastructure failures and maintenance needs and monitor relevant tasks. Furthermore, site planners will be able to run prediction models on, inter alia, the effect of flash floods, wildlife intrusion, or fire incidents. So already UNHCR, with the support of its GIS support unit, is already offering and piloting similar solutions for mapping of shelters and infrastructures. However, there is no comprehensive solution for shelter management. What we want to combine with our project is the demographic information on camp population with their relations that can be either family relations, but also it could be cultural affinities or potential hostilities among population groups that reside in the same camp. And all this together, we want to visualize them on rich base maps. So this dynamic visualization of the population data against the base maps will create the context necessary for the work of the camp manager. Such context will strengthen informed assessments for shelter allocation using criteria ranging from as basic as shelter utilization or underutilization to more complex as considerations of risk and opportunities in decision making. For example, a single woman that is a survivor of gender-based violence would be allocated in a friendly, secure, and empowering environment. School-aged children will be allocated close to education facilities. So all these processes and decisions will be facilitated by this tool. Also, infrastructure failures and their impact on the safety and protection environment of the camp will be timely flagged on the map, allowing this way for speedy technical interventions. And coming to disaster risk reduction support for this by this platform, disasters occur when hazard meets vulnerability. So disaster risk is widely recognized as the consequence of interaction between a hazard and the characteristics that make people and places vulnerable and exposed. So we have not just the opportunity to intervene, but also a duty to intervene. So visualization of the camp will allow for better understanding of infrastructure, vulnerabilities, and exposure. It will allow for identification of areas of the camp that are more susceptible to disaster risks, such as flash floods, fires, or wildlife intrusions. And then one can argue that a topographic map can already provide such indications to experienced risk assessors. However, imagine a scenario where this assessor, the assessor of risk, is in dialogue with a digital map to identify a hazard-prone area. The assessor will be asking the system to flag the people in that area who will face difficulties evacuating, for example, elderly, children, people with disabilities. And then artificial intelligence integration would also allow to run hazard impact scenarios on the map, allowing for proactive evacuation of the shelter or of the camp or part of the camp to take the most vulnerable out of the harm's way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vasily. This, as you can see, this is a very ambitious project. So we're hoping to see many of its aspects also come into fruition. Oscar, would you like to add anything to wrap up the presentation of the team that is working on the shelter allocation and camp management tool?
Thanks, Olga. Yeah, I think it's very ambitious, but very promising, especially with the development of AI. We could have tailor-made individual kind of recommendations for people to be integrated. So we already using some of these tools to be able to provide a solutions pathway for the people to be able to integrate locally. So that's a very kind of unique and a very cutting edge kind of thing that we're trying to pilot. We already have one pilot shelter, which is in Brazil, and hoping to bring the other operations along as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for replying to my questions and presenting your work on the shelter allocation and camp management tool. I think the time has come for us to open the floor for questions that anyone on this meeting today, on this call today, can have for our changemakers. The floor is yours. I know that we've managed to present 4 very diverse projects before you just now. So I do appreciate that that was a lot of information. And I also try to always stay as close as possible to the teams and the progress that they're making. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. If you prefer not to unmute or your connectivity is not great, which might of course be the case, feel free to drop them in the chat. As I mentioned, after Nkandu's intervention, everyone's emails will be shared with you so that this event can become the beginning of your conversation with our changemakers. And maybe you have advice for them, or maybe you want to support them in many different ways. Or maybe Mariam has a question for the changemakers.
Yeah, I Mike and I have lots of questions. I think my one question is, what has surprised you about yourself throughout this journey? And it's just a curious question because it's been a long journey for many of you. So my question is, what has surprised you about yourself?
Who would like to? Vasily would like to take this question, please.
You're on mute.
Sorry. So I'm surprised. It's not like a personal impression. I would say like it's more like an impression for the project. I'm surprised that this project gives us the opportunity to do something that seems like impossible, to make it like seem possible. I don't know if we will end up, with an end product that will be used by camp managers globally, but why not? I mean, the vision is there. The vision is there, and opportunities like that provides fuel to us and inspiration, and keeps us going and trying. And also, I given the opportunity of taking the floor again to say that indeed how impressive it is that we are working not just across the globe, but also across all hierarchies and staff grades in this operation. And I mean, actually doing agile work without having been without having a long and rich background in how to work agile. I mean, it comes like with a very natural flow. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to hear that it comes with a natural flow, but I think one of the key things is even if the end product is not implemented, the thinking, the process is the learning. So that I think in itself is a success, even if the end product, as you say, is not fully implemented. But thank you for sharing.
We have Hassan and then Nkandu, and we also have a great question from Patricia in the Q&A, but we will get to that in a moment.
Well, actually, I would like to answer the question that was asked before. So technically, one of the most amazing things that really surprised us in the team is that the way that we get together. I mean, it's really hard for for us that we're coming from different operations, from different places around the planet, different time zones, and we also came with different ideas. It is really important. It was really nice how communication has led us to have a very nice and amazing team to agree on one idea and also to know how to manage our time precisely in order to meet. It is one of the most amazing things that happened, and it was such a great learning opportunity for all of us, I think.
Thank you, Hassan. I will give the floor to Nkando, but just to also let you know that I have noted Connor's key question about data protection in the Q&A. We will get to that point as well.
Thank you, Olga. I just also wanted to respond to the question about what has surprised me about myself through this process. I think traditionally we've always thought about digital solutions technology to belong to sector experts, the ICT colleagues in the office. I myself, as a program officer, did not imagine that at some day I would be sitting talking about digital solutions and the technical aspects that go with that. So it just goes to show that, you know, digitalization is a movement for everyone, all sectors that should be considering this. We've had to interact and engage with other sector colleagues on implementing e-health, for example, the health focal person on coming up with digital solutions for health, for education as well. Even in other aspects today, we heard from the other colleagues in other operations talking about CCCM and shelter, for example. That's quite interesting, I think, and really surprising and encouraging also to note that digitalization is the way forward. Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing that. If I know some of my colleagues from UNDP are on the call, but on day one of UN 2.0, the administrator of UNDP was very clear that working in the digital world has nothing to do with your job title. And we need to move away from having a job that says digital HR officer or digital protection officer, that the ability to work in a digital environment and create digital solutions is for the entire organization. So thank you for sharing that. It was also emphasized again by the Secretary General in his opening statement. So thank you for that. Olga, back to you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nkando, Mariam, for this. I think there was a wonderful question in the Q&A from Patricia about the main challenge that you have all faced in putting in place new technologies or new approaches, going back to this resist element that was clearly emphasized in our program, resisting to bring change and you know, insisting on the importance of new technologies and new approaches and the great way of bringing them, or the appropriate way of bringing them, always in line, of course, with human rights considerations, data protection considerations, etc. Anyone among the change makers who wants to share about these main challenges of bringing change? Wilma?
Hello, everyone. I think one of the things that from the process in the group that I've come to keep questioning is the actual type of change that we want. Sometimes we have a lot of things that we want to do, but focusing on one thing that can be very efficient in multiple ways. So not having a lot of solutions that can actually fit in so many ways, but can also integrate. So essentially what that type of solution can be, that can be attached to multifaceted ways to minimize cost, to minimize time, and just to be efficient in that sense. And that's, I think it's something that when we come together, for example, sometimes we see some of the projects that other colleagues are doing, they're kind of similar to ours. And then I also think like this is also if we had come together at once and kind of thought about it, then we would have like moved past a lot of things and, tap onto that one thing that we want to focus on and just move forward. But I think there's still time for that. But that is one of the challenges, I think, personally, and I keep battling with it, how we can go about that eventually. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Wilma. Oscar, talking about challenges.
I'm a challenge, am I? Sorry. No, but I'm old enough. So I've been around close to 20 years. So I'm not the oldest person working in UNHCR, but old enough to remember directors not even able to use emails. So they had like assistants for them to send their emails. Yeah. But to me, the challenges are, we have an organization that's quite diverse, and this is a great thing. So coming together is very difficult at the time because you have to bring together different skill sets. But there's a common purpose. Yeah, the common purpose is usually the needs of the refugees. I take a lot of inspiration on the resiliency of the refugees because a lot of the things that, for instance, that I've been doing with technology is around already indications of what refugees have told us that they need: access to communication, access to services, access to livelihoods, and this is the environment where we need to create. So for me, it's more creating that platform that refugees will be able to thrive. I mean, thanks to Mike and thanks also to Hovik from the innovation unit, we were able to bring very talented colleagues from outside to bring us those skill sets that we need to thrive. But for me, yeah, the challenges are, to bring such a diverse group of people together under one common purpose, and also to look at the different, because we also work in very diverse environments. So yeah, we work from Europe, very very sophisticated and advanced societies, to societies where refugees don't even have access to mobile phones. And then you need to create the environment to innovate and to change within those constraints. So that becomes very challenging. But again, the culture of UNHCR is one that we thrive on diversity. It just takes us perhaps a bit longer to bring people together under the same premises because of our cultural differences. But the end result of that is because that diversity, it includes far many people and it brings new ideas. So yeah, I think this is part of the process that we did to bring change. Thanks.
Thank you, Oscar. I'm aware of time, but I do want to highlight the importance of Connor's question in the Q&A. And of course, the question is about how personal data is protected on under these different projects or on these platforms, since some of the projects presented today were speaking about platforms. I think this is a discussion that merits a full session for sure. And I would very much like to encourage the team representatives that are here today to reach out to Connor because he represents our global data service. So I think it's an excellent connection and definitely a go-to person for you to discuss the different ways and the different protective mechanisms that you will be putting in place to make sure, of course, that the data of the people we serve, and even of our own staff members, of course, is fully protected in line with UNHCR's governance structures and policies. So this is an opening of a door, definitely not a closing of one, and it's a great note to almost end on. And for the remaining 1 minute of our session, I would like to give the floor back to Mariam and Mike and Mariam. If they wish to, I know this makes it complicated, but if one of you wishes to say a final word, that would be wonderful.
I hand it over to Mike. I have talked enough. Mike, you have the last word.
Thanks. I mean, again, just looking at all of those projects and just seeing how amazing and collaborative they are. And actually, I said this to somebody earlier, just seeing things that we hadn't managed to articulate, and yet as groups, you managed to really articulate the problem, really refugee-led, looking at the things that are so critical, accessibility, digital accessibility, but you know, co-design of solutions. And this was all done without extra money. I just think it's really important that people need to understand that this wasn't like there wasn't a big funding pot that was helping drive these programs. This is all about people's ingenuity, people working together, people collaborating together, and to say very unhierarchical in the sense of working across the organization, across the regions and across levels. So just thanks to everybody who's helped make that happen. And thanks also to the UN 2.0 team for putting these events together this week, because it's been really great to have the chance to hear from others and to talk about the work and to look about how we can bring about real change across the organization, not as dominated in one team or another team, but as you say, Marianne, integrated and embedded in everything that we do. So thanks to everybody, and look forward to hearing more.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for being with us today, and I look forward to our future interactions with all of you. Please reach out to our Changemakers. Have a wonderful afternoon or day or evening. We look forward to hearing from you again.